Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, then welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. My name is Allie, and this is going to be a fun video. We are heading out to some of my favorite thrift and antique shops. This video is going to be jam-packed with inspiration from budget-friendly decor to one-of-a-kind pieces. I can't wait to see what we find and then share with you how I thrift, DIY, and style items like this in my own space. This is going to be a fun one, so grab a pumpkin spice latte and let's go thrifting, flipping, and decorating together. Before we do that, if you like this video and if you like videos like this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I've got lots of great videos coming down the line for you, especially with the holidays coming in, so you don't want to miss it. As always, drop me a comment down below because I love hearing from you. I love connecting with you, so let me know what you think. And without further ado, let's go shopping. Okay, so we are getting started at Sleepy Poet. This is one of my favorite local antique shops, and right from the get-go, I'm looking at this antique wooden bowl. I used something similar like this to house my pumpkin cloche, and it came out so adorable. Antique shops like this are always a great place to find these warm, old vintage-looking items to warm up your space, like all those kitchen tools and that crock. This is an incredible find. It is a large, extra large wooden dough bowl. And if you guys know me, you know that I have a large one that's on my dining table. I'm going to style it actually at the end of this video. This is an excellent price for a piece this size. I'm loving this lamp. I think it's so moody. It'd be amazing for Halloween, but even after Halloween, if you have the right sort of library room, I just think it would be an incredible piece. We had so much fun finding so many Halloween items. Thrifting and antiquing this time of year is always a blast. They've got all of these really cool frames. And I really loved this black marble cheese board of this black cat. I think it's really cool and it'd be a lot of fun if you're having a Halloween party. One of my favorite booths here that I always check is always loaded up with these vintage antique pots like that cumin pot. I really love this lamp. It's created from a vintage Chinese wine pot, and if I had the space on my console I would consider getting it, but it's also making me think of maybe how I can create a lamp out of a similar pot or vase that I have at home. This is also where I picked up my large vintage pot like the one I just showed you. And this is a really cool broom that I thought would be great to add to your Halloween decor and to also just leave out as part of an antique piece for maybe your kitchen. Finding all of these tools, all of these warm vintage wood pieces is such a great way to warm up your space. You can use this old vintage washboard as a wall hanging or as a tray. And this is also the booth where I purchased my antique Chinese bench. I love these orange cups. I love the size, the shape of them. I think they're super interesting and they would look really great on a Halloween or fall tablescape. And trunks like these are another really fun way to bring storage and functionality into your space while also warming it up and adding that beautiful cozy charm. Using stones is one of my favorite ways to add some more character to my space, add in another layer. Especially this season, they had so many warm colors. I love pieces like this that look great, especially on a bookshelf or anywhere that you just need a pop of something different other than like a vase with flowers or candles. One of my favorite things to peruse when I come here are these brass candle holders. I just think there are so many beautiful ones that you can mix and match. You can create a collection. We of course had a blast with all the Halloween stuff. There was one booth in particular that just had so many cool things like this leather bound creepy journal with the worn looking pages. And these glass potion bottles were such a cool find. They came with the leather case. I think that they're used a lot in Renaissance festivals. I just thought they were super cool. This pumpkin is motivating me to paint the pumpkins that I have from years past that are a little beat up and I don't love the color. And this right here is an architectural piece. I own something very similar that I purchased here. It was used as a concrete architectural mold to stamp concrete into buildings. So next up, we went to Habitat for Humanity. I love coming to Habitat because they have so many unique, really cool finds. They have a lot of inspiration for DIY projects. So I love perusing all the sections, especially the glassware section. These ice cream sundae glasses had me feeling very nostalgic. I actually don't own them, and I was really considering picking a few up. It's also a great place to pick up items like those glass vases that I just showed to make a nice arrangement on your dining table. And then they also have a lot of seasonal pieces that we found. So now that we're moving into fall, I was able to find a ton of really nice warm pieces like these baskets for only $2 a piece. So I started playing around while we were in store because I found these pumpkins as well. And I thought that filling a basket like that with some pumpkins, maybe popping it on the side of a console table, is just a really easy way and a very inexpensive way to warm up your space. So I took one basket, I flipped it upside down, I filled the other one on top of it with pumpkins. I really love burlap lately, so I was very excited to find that burlap wine carafe that I just put a plant in. And then I pulled together these two candle holders. And if you add taper candles, you have yourself a nice little vignette that is perfect for the holidays for really great prices. These corbels were a really cool find as well. They're another architectural piece that you can add to your space. They would look great on a bookshelf, maybe even installed under one of your doorways. I think they would bring a lot of character. And of course, they had more seasonal items like this glass lantern that you pop a candle in and you have yourself a nice centerpiece. They did actually have a lot of iron candle items like this single taper candle holder as well as these candle arches. I thought these were really cool. They had a couple of them. You can display them like a round wreath or you can just add a half arch like a semicircle. They have a ton of frames. It's one of my favorite places to pick up frames. So in my store, they just had a bunch of buckets filled with frames and it had me thinking about fall prints. I also really liked this vintage trunk. That was a great price for a piece like that. On the way out, we saw a bunch of really cool items for Halloween, like this tall wine bottle that actually lights up. And then if you guys know me, you know I love my moss. I use moss in so many of my projects. I think it's such a great way to add texture. They had these bags of moss for only $2. And on the way out the door, my son wanted to make a donation. We also made a quick stop at one of my favorite stores called Nadeau. They pride themselves on carrying furniture with a soul. So everything here is handcrafted. It's one of a kind. It's one of the reasons why I love this store. And all the wood is ethically sourced. They just have really beautiful, unique pieces that you can purchase right then and there because nothing is mass produced. They also have a lot of decorative accents. So I really liked this cutting board. I loved the shape of it. It was a great price. I wasn't really crazy about the finish. But it's so much fun to just browse around these aisles. They are just packed to the gills with all sorts of beautiful pieces. They even carry artwork, they have side tables, and just any kind of accent pieces that you're looking for to bring into your home. So now that we're back at the house, I have some of my finds here, and one of which was the candle wreath that I found at Habitat. And you can see that online they sell these candle wreaths, the antique versions and brand new versions for really high prices. So I wanted to recreate a dining table centerpiece that features that candle wreath. So the first thing I'm doing here is I'm just placing a tray on top of a fall colored runner and I'm adding the candle wreath. I like that it comes in two separate parts because I can use them individually or I can put them together like this. So to add a little bit of greenery around it, I'm just bringing in a piece of small garland and in the center, I'm adding in these two maple picks just to give it a pop of that nice fall color. I have these two pumpkins that I just had in my bin, wasn't really sure what to do with them, so I thought that the colors went really well. And then I'm just layering in a few more leaves. Now I have these two sets of candles. I really love the shape of these taper candles. I found them over at Home Goods. So I'm just adding these around into the wreath. And then I'm bringing in these two potted topiaries. These are terracotta, so I thought the color would look really nice with the season of fall. I have these acorn fillers that I'm just sort of scattering around, making them look really natural, like they were just dropped here and gathered. And once you light this centerpiece, it just really makes such a stunning statement in the center of a dining table. I think it's so pretty. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I'm enjoying it now for the season of fall, and I'm already thinking about the design that I can create with this for the holiday season as well. The next piece I brought home was this breadboard from that store Nadeau, and I have always wanted to have a breadboard like this, one of those vintage distressed breadboards. As you can see, there's a really high priced on sites like Etsy and Olive Atelier. I just loved the shape of this one that I found over at the last store we visited, so I picked it up and I'm going to DIY it to recreate a look from those vintage cutting boards. So I have some gloves, I have a rag, I have some tools, and then I have my gel stain. This is just a leftover can of gel stain I had from another project, and I thought that the color would be perfect for this type of job. So I'm beginning with the hammer and screwdriver, and I'm just going around and I'm adding in some distressing. I'm focusing a good amount on the edges, like the bottom here, just because I feel like those tend to be the areas that get pretty worn over time with a breadboard like this. So I'm just making some divots in them. Then I took my flathead screwdriver and I'm just scraping down the center of it. I know with a cutting board, when you use it naturally, the center of it tends to have those knife marks, those scrape marks. So I wanted to add some character with that. And now I'm taking the Minwax that I have. It's in coffee stain. I'll link everything I can for you that I used down below in the description, but you might have something already lying around if you're looking to do a similar project. So I am just making sure that I'm going with the grain as I'm sort of blending this in. And as you'll see, I'm adding a nice layer to it, but I'm not making it too perfect. I want it to look a little bit beat up. I want it to have a lot of dimension and layers. And I'm focusing on the border of it around the exterior because that is, again, what I feel gives it a little bit more of a natural look. I allowed it to dry for a bit, and then I went in and I added a second layer as well. So if you remember, this is what it looked like when I started, and this is what it turned into. I think it came out so amazing. It's exactly the color that I was going for. I think it's perfect for our kitchen. To style it for the season of fall, I'm layering in a round marble cutting board, that pumpkin cloche inside the vintage wooden bowl, adding a pop of green with our jade tree, and then a small kitchen lamp. Moving on to DIY number 3, you might remember from spring, if you followed me then, that I DIY'd these glass cloches. I thought they came out so beautiful, and my inspiration was the cloches that I saw on sites like Anthropologie, Pottery Barn, so I thought that I could recreate them using more fall elements, starting with the moss that I found at Habitat, and then I have some dried floral pieces that I picked up from both Michael's and Hobby Lobby. Again, I've linked everything I can for you down below in the description, or similar items that you can also find online. So to start, I'm going to first sort of remove everything that says spring, like those butterflies and the baby's breath, the lavender and the brightly green colored moss. I will be replacing that bright green spring colored moss with the moss that I picked up from Habitat. You do want to make sure that you have a glue gun on hand because that's what's going to help secure the moss around the base. So I'm beginning by adding in some of those taller elements like those wheat sheaves right here and those yellow pieces. And there's really no rhyme or reason. I'm just sort of adding in a few of them and sticking them here and there. Now I have this berry pod, this fall berry pod that I'm placing in one of them, and then this other pick that I'm placing in the other. I'm not making these exact. I want to make them cohesive, but I want each of them to be a little bit different. So in this one on the left, I'm beginning with a gourd, and then as you'll see, I'm going to place a pumpkin a little bit lower. And this one on the right, I've put the berry pod stems a little lower, and you'll see later that I'm going to place that pumpkin a little bit higher. And I'm just going to begin going around and around the bottom and just hot gluing that moss. Adding the final piece, which is that pumpkin pick. And now moving on to the second one, I'm adding the pumpkin pick a little bit higher here, and then I'm repeating the process with gluing the moss all the way around. As a finishing touch, I'm adding in these two pieces that fell off of a garland of mine, and that's just always a good reminder that when you have a floral piece like a garland or a wreath or something, a pick, and then pieces fall off of it, save them because you can always just sort of sprinkle them in as accents. I love how these turned out. I think they came out so awesome. I can't wait to put the glass domes on top of them. So I'm just giving them a quick wipe down so that they're nice and polished. And I'm just fitting them very carefully inside each of the pieces. And I'm going to be placing these on our bookshelves. So to begin styling, I have this beautiful fall landscape art, and I thought that this cloche would be the perfect accent. And then I'm going in the left side of my bookcase on the very top, and that's where I'm adding the pedestal cloche. Now all the colors in here feel cohesive. It feels perfect for the season. For this next DIY, I'm going to be styling these really cool Renaissance potion bottles. I saw these at the antique shop. A lot of people will use these when attending Renaissance festivals as part of their costume. I thought this would just be really cool to style for the season of fall and then restyle them for the season of Halloween. So to start, I'm filling them up with these pumpkin fillers. My daughter's helping me. The cat got involved. There's Nico. And we're just going to fill them up maybe about 3/4 of the way. And I have this little mini dough bowl, and I thought that they would fit perfectly in here. So before I place them, I'm adding in another layer of that moss that I thrifted from Habitat, and I just made a little pocket for each of them. I really love interesting pieces like this that are a little bit different from your average decor, so I styled them on our bookshelves so that they can just be another element, another layer, and just add in that nice pop of orange and natural moss for the season. While I was here, I decided to spruce up some of my other shelves. You guys know I love my battery operated candles to add in that flicker of light. I scattered some fallen leaves that came off of some of the picks I used. This is a print that I had last year from Hobby Lobby, so I went ahead and styled that in the center shelf right here. I added in some palm stems. I swapped out my regular greenery and I added in the palm stems. And I think that they just add another beautiful texture that's a little bit more muted and in line with the season. And overall, I am loving how the bookshelves turned out. I had someone ask in my last video what happened to our large fiddle leaf fig that was out on the covered porch. Here she is. She's doing amazing. I moved her inside and I think she's loving her new home next to the bookshelves. This next DIY involves some Etsy prints. I printed a gallery off of Etsy, which I like to do every season, and this frame is something that I thrifted from Habitat. So this is one image from that gallery. It's a beautiful fall image. I love that pop of red from the Japanese maples. I didn't have any tape on hand, so I did have these glue dots. So I just went ahead and used one of the glue dots to secure the image to the back of the frame, and I think it just looks so beautiful. The matting is actually an off-white color, which adds the perfect level of softness. I think it just turned out really nice. And while I was at it, I decided to upgrade my gallery wall with more of those prints. There were just too many beautiful images to choose from. So if you remember a while back, I will link for you down below where I showed you step by step how to source prints from Etsy and how to print them out at your local CVS or Walgreens and how to size them accordingly to your frames. And this gallery wall I did around the holidays. It was a DIY where I painted the frames. I've linked similar options for you along with the exact gallery that I'm showing you here in the description box below. But as you can see, all I'm doing is I'm just cutting them out so that they fit. And for one of them, I didn't have a matting, but I did have some burlap on hand. So I decided to just take the burlap and go around and use glue dots to secure it. And doing this, I think, just adds a really nice level of texture. I do love burlap, and I have some other burlap pieces in the bookshelf, so I thought that this would just tie in really nicely. So as you can see, I'm styling it right up here on that shelf, and I think it turned out so beautiful. It's hard to tell if you're not in person because there is a glare, but I hope that you can see just the absolute beauty of the season that's captured in this gallery. Again, I'll link that gallery for you down below. And this is the gallery wall in our guest room. Now it feels in line with the season and I'm just so happy with it. For this last DIY, this is the fall dough bowl arrangement. I shared with you guys at the beginning when I was antiquing that large dough bowl that we found. It's always great to have a staple piece like this. Mine typically lives on my dining table and I just restyle it every year with the season, but it's such a great piece that will give you so much mileage throughout the entire year. I have this rustic acorn pine cone garland. It's a little scraggly. I've had it for many years now. I wouldn't use it on its own, but I think it's a great layering piece to begin styling this dough bowl. I have these blush colored stems. I have about 4 of them here. They're nice and full, so this will be another great layer. Then I have these fall eucalyptus picks. I have about 6 of them here. These are just pieces that I've collected that I wasn't currently using, and I'm just pulling them together, but you can see that the colors tie in really nicely. They're all very soft for the season of fall. I love to bring in natural textures, so I had a few of these lotus pods, and then I had these gilded metallic acorns for that pop of color. I also have these two lanterns to add in that flicker of light. These look really pretty at night. And then I have a couple bags of moss, and I wasn't really sure which one I was going to go with. I have the lighter green one and that Spanish moss, so I just kept them both close by so that I could play around a little bit. So to begin, I'm adding in that first layer, which is that acorn garland. And just to sort of anchor things down, secure them in place, and give me an idea of how this is going to look, I added in my two lanterns. And I'm just wrapping one piece of that garland around the lanterns to secure it in place. But I did realize that I really like it like that. I think it looks natural and grown in, so I'm going to leave it like that. The next layer are those blush stems. So I have 4 of them, and I'm just sort of adding them in on all sides of the dough bowl to just give a nice bit of that color all the way throughout. Next up, I have the eucalyptus picks. So again, I want to make sure that I have a little bit of that pulled all throughout the dough bowl. So I've got 2 on the left, 2 in the center, and 2 on the right. And I'm not too worried about getting anything perfect, so I'm just sort of placing things now. I'm adding one of the acorns in the center, one on the right, and one on the left. And then just adding in a lotus pod somewhere near each of the acorns. Again, very natural, very organic, nothing too perfect or planned. Adding in the candles so that again I can just kind of get a feel for what it's going to look like. And now I've decided to go with the Spanish moss. I think that this is just a little bit more in line with the season, and it doesn't compete with all those other beautiful colors around it. So all I'm doing here is I'm just creating a nice little pocket for the acorn, and then I'm adding in that lotus pod. And I'm going to be doing the same thing on the left side of the dough bowl as well as the right, making sure that I pull in a little bit of that Spanish moss around the lanterns as well, just to make it feel extra natural and organic. I always like to stop periodically, take a step back, look at it from all different angles, just to make sure that it's going exactly how I like it. This is the end result. That's it for today. I really hope that you loved this video. I hope that I gave you guys a lot of great ideas. I found so much inspiration from visiting these stores. I always do. And budget-friendly decor is always my favorite things to decorate with, especially things that I was able to easily flip or DIY. I feel like they just bring so much character to my space. It feels so cozy. And yes, there's a huge sense of pride when I look around and I see pieces that I found for a really good price and then was able to then flip or DIY them myself. It just feels really good and extra cozy for this time of year. So if you liked this video, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite item was, maybe what your favorite DIY was or styling piece. I love hearing from you. So tell me how you're decorating for fall and maybe share with me what kind of videos that you want to see me do in the future, or just say hello because again, I love hearing from you. Also, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. It's a free way to support my channel. I really appreciate it. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future videos. Thanks again so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Take care.